So good afternoon now, and welcome to our library superpowers workshop. For this session, we're going to be talking you through Zotero. So we're going to cover what it is, how to set it up, how to use it for an individual user, and then we'll also show some of the features that are built in that can be very useful for collaborative or classwork. So for starters, what is Zotero? Zotero is, as it says here on their homepage, a free, easy-to-use tool to help you collect, organize, cite, and share your research. To get Zotero for yourself, you just have to go to zotero.org, which will bring you to this page, and then you can go ahead and hit the download button here, and it'll take you to their resources page, and you'll want to go ahead and download the standalone, the Zotero 5.0, and then you will also need a connector. So what the connector looks like will depend on which browser you're using. So for this case, I'm using Mozilla. The connectors are also available for Chrome, Safari, and Microsoft Edge. So, and again, you will want to download both of those. So let me go ahead and get the installation starting on the Zotero, and I'm going to make sure the connector is added. And you might have to do some permissions there. So hopefully that will have worked. So while it's running here, Zotero was built or designed initially by the George Mason Institute. And it is for researchers, built for researchers by researchers. And so here we have the Zotero starting up. You do have a certain amount of free storage space, as you can see here on the Zotero main page. I can upgrade as I'm adding items to this, like we get the 300 megabytes free, but if you plan to store a large amount of documents, or particularly a large amount of images, you can always pay for a larger storage, but there is a lower portion free. And still waiting for Zotero to install. So things we'll be showing shortly are the different features, how to get it set up with your preferences and import options, as well as setting up custom citation styles. Okay, so supposedly what's installed. Sorry, we're on a Mac here, so let me make sure that goes through properly. There we go. All right. Give this one more try. Prior to this session, I did have it installed on my machine, but decided to try and install it directly just to see if there were issues, and unfortunately, there have been. So it looks like I've downloaded it, started up, and now it has an update to run. While we're letting that run, if I were just after a quick single citation, Zotero now offers Zotero Bib, which is linked here right below that download option. And so for this one, it would let me build citations on the fly. So as you can see, you can enter a URL, ISBN, DOI, PubMed ID, or other materials, and it will help you build a bibliography as you go. So I'm gonna go to the library's main page now and go to our catalog and look up Earl Kaler as an author here, just so I can grab a quick example. So our first result here is Juniata College, Uncommon Vision, Uncommon Loyalty. If I copy over that ISBN, go back to Zotero Bib, I can paste that in, and build a citation from that. So here we go. It built me one directly out of MLA. If I want to change that formatting style, I can click this drop down and it has the most popular above, or I can choose from thousands of other options. All right, so it looks like I can go ahead and do some functionality. So this is our basic Zotero window. If you're on a PC, it might look slightly different, but most of the tools are here. So this button here allows you to build new collections. So that clicking that would, under normal circumstances, would give us a dialog box that would allow us to type in a class name, a project name, whatever we'd like. And then it gives a folder. And in that folder, we can start adding our materials to populate our Zotero. Okay, there we go. So now it's caught up. So now you see some of the libraries I already have around different topics. So I'm going to just leave it on the practice menu. So again, for our basic setup, if you go to the file, I think under the PC or on a Mac, you go up to the top next to the Apple logo. Let me spread my screen so it's covering that. And open up your preference options. The first tab here talks you through the different things Zotero will pull in when it's ready to do a citation. So it will take a snapshot from the whatever website you're capturing material. If there is a PDF or HTML available to you, so if you're in a database or Google Scholar and those are available, it will pull those in and capture them with it, making Zotero the one place you have to go back to. You won't have to go back in your browser or your email, wherever you have those materials saved. And those typically are selected, but if not, you can always opt into them. And it might be something you have to come back to if you find your memory's getting full. So then the sync options. So through Zotero, you can register for a free account. And the advantage of doing this is if something happens to your personal machine, through Zotero, then they will store backups for the materials and you can access them through any computer. So if you do research outside the home and don't have your own device, you can always go in and do this. And that is something that I certainly recommend to everyone. Search function is nothing we need to go into at the moment. Okay, so export. So as it says here from the quick copy, you can create citations on the fly by right-clicking on those and creating the citation. So under the default format here, you can select from all your different options. So I'm going to go ahead and select the Chicago. So this means anytime I'm creating a quick citation, it is already selected for Chicago citation format. Under Cite, again, shows us all the other options, and you can add additional ones. So if you don't see what you're looking for, you can go in here and type for whatever citation style you're after's name and see if it is available through their library. And again, there are thousands of those, so it is more than likely that style is going to be supported. The other option here for word processors, there is a toolbar that works for Microsoft Word. So I'm just going to go ahead and reinstall that to make sure it's successful. Before you do that, if you have Word open at all, you want to close out of it fully and then run the installation. Or if you've already run the installation, just quit Word completely and then reopen it, and it should be available. And then our advanced options is also something I don't think at this point we need to explore in too much depth. Okay, so we have our Zotero set up, and I'm going to go ahead and open up my Word here just to, one, make sure the toolbar worked properly. So here's my document that I was working on earlier. So then the toolbar, depending on how much you can see from the top of your Word, I expand it here, and there is a separate Zotero toolbar. So I can now work with Zotero from the library. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and do just another quick search in Eagle Search, and we'll see if we can use the Zotero connector to pull something into the library. As you just have to do the Open Athens things. All right, so up here is how this appears through my Mozilla is the option to save things to Zotero directly. Right now we see it's going to save it as a web page. If I click into the individual item here, it'll switch as well. So I'm going to open up Zotero, make sure I'm highlighted on the practice menu, because wherever you have selected is where it will save that source. If you just want to go to your library and filter it later, you can leave that highlighted. But we'll go back to practice. I'll go ahead and pull that in. We see it's going to give me this pop-up here to show where it's going. I can always switch it from there, hit done, and then I have my first source. Occasionally you might run into an issue where when you're trying to add things to your Zotero, for whatever reason, the website you're pulling from might not be connecting properly with Zotero. So I'll go down to this next book here and show you an alternate way to do that. So again, as we saw with Zotero bib at the beginning, if we can pull, in this case, the ISBN, and then open up our Zotero window again, over here towards the middle, we have some different tools. If we hit the second one that looks like a wand, add items by identifier, again, I can add those quickly. So unlike what I pulled from the website here, it's not quite as robust. It's not giving us as much information. But now that these are in here, I can go ahead and if I need to, for the citation style or just for my own sake, need to add more information in here, I can. Or if this is something for you're pulling in for like maybe an annotated bibliography, you can go ahead and annotate it here in Zotero and have that information all in one place. And it generates some tags, but you can also create your own. So again, if it's for a specific project, you could maybe create a tag for that project. It's very adjustable. So once you have those items in your library, you can do a few different things to create the citations. The quickest is if you do the control click or right click, depending on if you have a mouse or just a trackpad, and you can create a bibliography from that item. So it'll give you this drop-down menu option, and you can, again, choose your citation style. And then down under output mode, you can toggle between footnote and bibliography. And then under output method, you'll want to make sure it's copy to clipboard is selected. So I'll leave it for bibliography for right now and go ahead and go to my paper draft. And if I do my sources down here, I can just paste that in. So as you can see, very quick. Might not be 100% accurate, but a lot of the work has been done for me now, and I just need to go ahead and review. So just one of the quickest, clearest examples is we know this one is a book, so I don't really need to include that URL that it gave for the catalog listing for that book. So that's the quick way to add citations. Another way is, again, if you have that word toolbar enabled, as we're going through, here's my first sentence. I want to add a citation. So within the word toolbar, I just hit this option and it gives me that menu again. So again, I can toggle between the footnotes and endnotes. It's got my default citation style selected already. So I'll hit OK for that. And then that's usually the first time you've used it for the document. From then on, it will give me this big orange bar. So if I go ahead and start typing in my different terms, it's going to pull things from my library based on that. And I can select whichever one I want. And then at this point, before I hit enter to add the citation, I can make some adjustments to this directly through the Zotero window if I want to. So if you click into that directly, it looks like it's going to probably prepare this as an in-text, but we'll know shortly. I can add the page. I can add other details before it, like I can say, according to Siegel 2000, Juniata College had this building at one point, and I can have that added directly as part of the citation, or I can add something afterwards. I can also suppress the author. So if this is a source I've cited before, I can just go ahead and hit that, and we'll know, or whoever's reading it should know that this second citation is referring back to the same source. So I'm going to go ahead and enter that. It would also be the case if I were citing more than one thing, I could keep adding to that initial toolbar, and then we see it here down below as the full footnote citation in Chicago style. So I'm just going to go ahead and add another citation in quickly. So we'll add in Kaler's book as well that we pulled in first. So those are both there now. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and delete the page 2. So then we've seen I've put in those 2 citations. It's one of those, Zotero will now keep track of those for me. So for example, if I delete that sentence and then paste it back in here, my footnotes have already switched their location without me needing to do anything. And the other great thing is, as I was going, of course, we've only got 2 for the example, but I can just hit add edit bibliography. And there we are. All the sources I've cited so far are in an auto-generated one. And again, I might need to go back through and make adjustments, but a lot of that work has been done for me. So then that's how individuals can use Zotero. But if you register for an account, here's my personal web account. It gives you the functionality to do groups. So for example, the Low Country and Gullah class was able to build a collaborative bibliography of resources throughout the semester. So these were books different people in the class found very useful, and they were able to share it together as a single library that would allow them to find the different citation and access information. So for example, this first one gives us these details and shows that it is a book available through Juniata's library. So this works very well in concert with collaborative documents, because the Zotero should work with the OneDrive version of Microsoft Word, or if not, it's very easy to build that citation into a document by pulling things from Zotero. So that was slightly longer than I intended, but that covers the basics of Zotero and how to get it set up and started. So hopefully that was not too difficult to follow. So we're coming back to the main room. I'm going to stop the recording and we'll go ahead and move to questions if there are any.